Francesca went back on Piers Morgan in what essentially boiled down to a 4v1, with her lighting them up over Trump and his recent verdict of becoming a convicted felon. So I thought we could take a look at that and fill in some of the blanks, as the right-wingers really just tried to obfuscate with random talking points or straight just lie about facts in hopes that Francesca wouldn't be aware of them. So as always, we'll hop in to provide the context needed.
So Michael Cohen had to do the payments on behalf of Donald Trump. Michael Cohen already spent 3 years mostly on house arrest, but he was already sentenced to 3 years over this. This is squarely Trump's making. This has nothing to do with his base. It has nothing to do with protecting American democracy, like happened on January 6th, according to them. This has to do with Trump making his bronzer-stained bed with a porn star, trying to cover it up, and then getting caught doing it.
And out of interest, before I go to Michael, out of interest, why is Bill Clinton able to have sex with an intern in the Oval Office when he's president and lie to the American people about it on national television? And why is he able to pay off Paula Jones $850,000, 4 times as much, 5 times as much as the Trump payment to Stormy Daniels, to get rid of a sexual harassment claim, again, while he's president?
Okay, there's a few things to address here, but do you see what I mean about just bringing up wildly random things to obfuscate? But first, it is exactly about holding those who break the law accountable, regardless of who they are. Trump knew what he was doing. He knew he could get caught. And then guess what? He did get caught. He's not that smart. No Democrat forced him to break the law, and it's extremely juvenile for him, and especially for his supporters, to want to place the blame everywhere except for the man who actually committed the crime. And here's a list of people in New York dating as far back as 2010 who were charged with the exact same crime: falsifying business records in the first degree, a felony. Funny how Republicans, they first want to pretend that Trump is the only person charged with these crimes and they did it because they got to get Trump. But two, if it's such a sham of a charge, why aren't they fighting for these people as well? It's almost like they only care because it's Trump. Now, on to what they were saying about Bill Clinton. He was literally impeached for both of the things that Piers mentioned here. He didn't get away with them in any regard, and he wasn't charged with the crime because what's the crime? Trump isn't charged with sleeping with a porn star. He's charged with falsifying business records over the NDA that he paid to the porn star and then lied about paying it because he didn't want his base to know that that's what he was doing. There's no crime for being a sleazebag and cheating on your wife, or Trump would have had even more charges than 34. Trust me there. And the payment that Piers is speaking of that Clinton made was a literal lawsuit settlement, something on public records. It wasn't a hush money payment that he then falsely recorded as something else and tried to hide. He was sued and settled. It was public record. And guess what? If Trump came out in 2016 and said, I'm paying this NDA to keep this woman quiet, he wouldn't have been charged with anything either. It's because he lied. That's pretty simple.
Donald Trump was always going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. A lot of people feel that he was gypped in 2020. He's the biggest guy in the party. It was going to happen. And Trump poses a real threat to the liberal establishment. He's not a Mitt Romney type Republican. He has different views from the so-called uniparty on things like trade, on things like immigration, and things like foreign policy and war. Trump posed a major threat. That's why they took such extraordinary measures for the last 8 years to take this guy out. They weren't able to do it politically. They weren't even really able to do it at the ballot box. So what's left? The only thing left to do is to try to throw him in prison so that he can't campaign for the election. I agree, it's backfiring.
This is not a federal case, Michael. You know that. It's not even a federal case. Why do you think that? It's not a DOJ case. It's not a Biden case. It's not a Merrick Garland thing. It's New York state law.
Michael Knowles has to be one of the slimiest people on the planet. He's like Ben Shapiro's shadow, who never gets to step in the spotlight unless he's calling for the eradication of an entire group of people. I love this idea that he's trying to present here, that liberals are scared of the threat that Trump poses, when Trump passed one bill in 4 years, couldn't work bipartisanly, and Trump has never once won the popular vote. He lost it to Hillary Clinton, one of the most unlikable people ever, and then went on to lose it by 7 million million votes to Joe Biden. I love how he says that we couldn't beat him at the ballot box. The old guy that Michael says has dementia did it pretty handedly. And as Francesca says, this was a state case by a state DA, someone who was elected by the people, not appointed by Biden, and has no connection to Biden. He was elected by the people of New York to uphold New York state law, and that's exactly what he did. No one can point to any proof that Biden orchestrated this, directed any of this. It just boils down to vague conspiracies that people still cannot tie together in any way.
You groom your audience for fascism and you set them up for a complete takeover of the DOJ. This is all about allowing Trump to get away with any crime he wants, as you sort of slighted and sort of, laid out very nonchalantly just a little bit ago. He was impeached twice. Doesn't really matter that he tried to blackmail the leader of Ukraine into digging up non-existent dirt on Joe Biden, but that doesn't matter to you
Joe
or
Biden
your
threatened
followers.
to withhold arms.
You want to make sure.
She absolutely got him there, from the fake laugh he had to force at the beginning to realize he was saying something stupid at the end and had to stop. Biden threatened to pause arms to Israel if they went into Rafah. He had until September to deliver them to Israel. It's well within his right to pause them for any time frame within that time frame. Ronald Reagan did the exact same thing, while Trump literally tried to blackmail aid that was due and withhold it unless Ukraine gave him dirt to use against Biden in the election. And she's also right about Trump especially, but also Michael Knowles and anyone who supports Trump, trying to groom their audience into fascism. One of the first steps of fascism is attacking institutions to create a lack of trust in them. That way, anytime someone questions your actions, what you say, what you do, you can just say, it's corrupt, it's rigged, they're all against me, and you'll have your base who's questioning the credibility of those institutions, which is what Trump has largely done since 2016. He loses the Iowa caucus. The Iowa caucus is rigged. He loses the popular vote in 2016. The popular vote is rigged. He loses the 2020 debates. The debates are rigged and all against him. He loses the 2020 election. The election was corrupt and rigged. He loses a sexual assault case. The case was rigged. He loses a fraud case. The case and the legal system are rigged. He loses a defamation case. They're unfairly just coming after him. He loses the hush money case and becomes a felon. The judicial system is corrupt. He has 54 more felony charges. It's all rigged. They're clearly targeting me. It's a clear pattern of behavior at this point, and anyone with an ounce of intelligence should be able to sniff that out. But instead, again, he has his audience groomed for his fascist authoritarian takeover that he's been planning for a long time. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.